Some people go to Turkey, a lot of people go to Mexico, and there are excellent surgeons in other countries. But my biggest concern is, yes, I could do tons of research, find an amazing surgeon, but complications happen even with the best of surgeons, even with the best of techniques. It's just something that happens
Yep.
sometimes. And if you have a complication and then you come home, it can be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to find a local surgeon who's willing to treat your complications.
They don't want to usually.
Exactly. They don't want to touch somebody else's work. They don't want to have that liability. And it can become a real nightmare.
Welcome to Holistic Dose. We've been through the plot twists, divorce, parenting, burnout, reinvention, and now we're doing midlife with more honesty and way less BS. Think of us as your unfiltered friends, here to remind you that you're not too late, too old, or too far behind. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Jeanette. So today we are going to be talking about the cosmetic and plastic surgery that Tiffany and I have both had. So I'm in my late 40s. Tiffany's in her early to almost mid-ish 40s.
I just turned 44.
Yeah. And we start noticing around at least about 40 for me, our body's changing, our face is changing. And then, of course, Tiffany and I have both gone through massive weight loss. And so she and I have tried quite a few different things. And I know a lot of women our age are interested in, hey, what else is out there other than skincare? And what else can I be doing? So, Tiffany, I guess let's start with our face. Tiffany, what all have you done face-wise?
So for right now, I just do Botox. Right now mine is kind of worn off, but I have a very heavy forehead. So I kind of lift my eyebrows and I do Botox.
So what do you mean by
here.
heavy forehead?
So my forehead naturally, when I don't have Botox, it is like more like this, believe it or not. But
so people listening, so she's smushing her forehead down and like when she says heaviness, it's really like her eyelids are heavy.
My eyelids, but also the forehead too. That's just something, it's like, I have Eastern European descent. Both of my sisters have it as well. My mom as well, like all of us do. So I haven't done any plastic surgery yet, but as far as treatments though, I've done Botox and I get lip fillers as well. I do like the little bunny rabbit lines. I do the 11s.
That's
I do
Botox,
a little bit of my
right?
Yeah, Botox. I do a little bit of my chin too, which, some people maybe not even think to do it there. But my Botox woman, she's always like, she has me make different faces. And
I've noticed when I've had makeup done for some photo shoots that they're putting like concealer on my chin. And I think it's because like you crinkle and it shadows.
Yeah, it's like when you make an ugly cry face, essentially, then you get a really dimply. So it does help. And like I said, my Botox is kind of starting to wear off a good bit now that they're really deep lines, but it really helps open up my eyes. So because of that, and I'm tired of going to get the Botox all the time and it's expensive. And I think being on the GLP-1s, it's like wearing off really fast on me. I don't know. So it's costing me a lot. I have now consulted about getting a facelift, kind of like in the forehead and the eyebrows, and then probably the neck too, which I'm showing you guys because I have those banding there and I did Botox the last time. But just to kind of pull and tighten it up. I think like what people say is that if you do this sooner, it's not going to seem as much a dramatic change later on. Like people are like, whoa.
Did you consult with Dr. Ghazi?
I did, yes.
Yeah. And you've also done microneedling, right?
I did do microneedling.
Was it just once or was it a series?
I did it just the once. I know that some people will go back and they say you have to do it more times. I don't know that I really saw a benefit, to be honest. It was a little bit pricey. It was painful, even though you put the numbing cream on. I don't know, did you experience the same?
Yeah. So the things I've done micro needling, but I've only done it twice once was with like an esthetician and once was
Mhm.
in a plastic surgeon's office. I've done a lot of it at home. I bought something called a doctor pen. And
Uh-huh.
to me, I mean, it seems like what they're using on me at a spa or whatever. It's not like one of those roller pens. It's really like it really punctures your face. And did I really see a difference? I was microneedling myself for a while, probably every once a month, maybe, or every 6
Mm.
weeks. I can't remember, but it was like the most frequent that it's recommended that you do it. I don't know. I mean, it probably
Yeah.
helped with the health of my skin. And that's kind of how I feel about all this stuff is it's all minimal unless it's plastic surgery.
I
Um,
agree.
Microneedling, I do wanna get back into doing it at home. I didn't feel like it was worth it paying. I know it do you remember what you paid for microneedling? I'm trying to remember, and I wanna say even with an esthetician, it was like $500 it was maybe more with the plastic surgeon. It was not inexpensive.
It was not inexpensive. I did, the neck, and I think I did some of the chest
Oh,
area,
yeah,
so it
I
was
just did
1,500.
face.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a lot. And again,
yeah.
I have a pretty decent pain tolerance, and even though they did use the numbing, like once they started getting around my nose and
Yes.
the
It's
certain
like those
cheeks,
bony parts of the face are pretty painful.
was
Yeah.
not fun.
When I do it at home, I drink a glass of wine first.
That's probably
That
actually a
helps.
really good
That
idea.
helps a lot. Yeah,
Oh
I've
my
joked about how we
god.
need to do like a micro needling, like staycation and just like sit in a hotel room with like Dr. Pens and drink some
Can you,
wine
like,
and maybe
lightly
watch a
sedate me,
movie.
please?
Yeah. Yeah, some microneedling, but I think it's worth it at home, right? Like, you can get a
Sure.
doctor pen for I think even the nice ones are like $300. And then you can just get hyaluronic acid, I think is what you just need to put on your face. You can get that on Amazon and then
Yeah.
go to town microneedling after a little bit of wine and some numbing cream. And yeah,
Yeah.
um, I do Botox, but I mean, you can see that it's worn off. I'm not real good
It lasts
about
really a lot longer on you, though. You're
it
lucky.
does.
Mine is,
Yeah,
like, maybe 2 months now.
yeah, I did Dysport and I really liked it. It kicked in faster and I felt like it lasted longer for me than Botox. And I think it's been like 4 months and I think I still have even a little bit like in my 11s where it's
Mm.
not completely back to moving. I'm not good about being real consistent with it. Usually it's like if I have photos coming up or whatever, I'm sure to get it. So maybe a couple times a year. Because again, I don't think for me there's a massive difference. And I've tried it. So I've done it mostly in my forehead. I've done it for my crow's feet, and I don't notice a
Mhm.
huge difference. I've done where they call the DAOs or Dow or
Yep.
whatever. It's like below the corners of your mouth to help with a downturned mouth. I definitely have resting bitch face,
You
but
do.
yeah, I mean, I for sure do. I've seen photos of myself where I'm like in meetings and I'm just sitting here and I have resting bitch face.
I think in all of our out clips of the videos, people were like, "Jeanette's so serious."
And it's not, it's resting bitch face. And so I've tried with Botox and also I've tried getting a little bit of filler under there and it's
Mm.
so minimal. I just think it's especially with the filler, it's so expensive and I think that only I would really notice a difference if I'm looking. I've done filler. I did it in my under eyes for a while and then
Mhm.
stopped. And I've done it in my cheeks and I've done it in my lips. And with all of the filler, I'm like, I just spent so much money. So I don't know that I'm going to do any more
Well, your
filler.
skin is, like, pretty tight, like, even considering, all the weight loss, you've lost 120 pounds, and you're lucky it's pretty tight. Mine is just naturally, and I know people won't believe this, they'll look at me and say, "Oh, but your face looks so open," and I will post up here pictures prior to what I look like before I got this, and I just never really realized how heavy my forehead was and my eyes too, that the Botox really just open it. Now, if I didn't have it, it'd be a different story. So I'll share
Yeah.
those pictures there. But you're lucky you naturally just have, very tight skin. But I start seeing people now where their eyelids are getting really hooded and it just makes you look tired all the time. Is that what you were
Yeah.
experiencing with yours?
Yeah, so I did have an upper blepharoplasty, and I've thought about a lower one too. I did the upper mainly because when I got Botox, I noticed how heavy they were. And
Yeah.
then I started noticing even without the Botox that I just had. For me, it wasn't, I don't know if it was aging or it was like just big and puffy and fatty. It was almost
Mhm.
like just this fat pad under my eye.
Right.
And so that made it so you really just couldn't see any of my eyelid. And then if I had Botox, I could feel my eyelashes like touching my eyelid, and that bothered me. And so I got that done when I also had my tummy tuck and arm lift. And I'm like, if I'm doing all this and I'm
Yeah.
under, this is so minor, I might as well add it on. And I'm
Yeah, 'cause
super
they can
happy
do
with
those, like,
that.
during lunchtime even. They're, like, super easy.
Yeah. So the doctor who did it said that if he were just doing that alone, it would be like at the office under local anesthesia, not a big
Wow.
deal.
And I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember how long, like, did you because I know you had the other surgeries, which we'll talk about, but for the eyes alone, if somebody's just looking for an eye-opening brightness, what was that like as far as the bruising and pain level just on the eyes alone?
Yeah, the pain level was almost non-existent, although I'll say that the first day, um, my eyes are really scratchy. Like I couldn't open them
Mm.
very much, and it's because they put this like shield in your eye
Uh-huh.
to protect it. And so that just made my eye really dry and scratchy, and that was the worst part of it was just afterwards
Wow.
how much they hurt from that, but that was gone after like 24 hours. I
Huh.
wouldn't say that like the actual incisions, I didn't feel any pain. I looked bad. I know it looked so much worse than it felt,
Yeah, were you
but it was
bruising underneath too? I can't remember.
I think I did. I think that I was surprised to see that there was some bruising even underneath my eyes when I didn't have anything done there,
Mhm.
but definitely bruising above, and you could see like the incisions and the stitches. But as far as recovery, I think if you get it done like on a Thursday and take off Thursday, Friday, you're
Yeah.
pretty much good to go on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was worth it, and then let's see, what else have I had done? I've had, what is it called? Broadband light, I think.
Oh.
So it is to remove, like, dark spots. So
Mm.
and I had a series of those actually, and it turns so with me, I have a lot of freckles, and so it turns your freckles or dark spots over the few days afterwards into, like it looks like coffee grounds that actually end up
Oh,
falling off. And
wow.
I haven't done it again because I've been using a really strong hydroquinone. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
And that's kind of kept all the freckling at bay, but I've been having not as good results with it. So actually, I might do another one of those lasers or broadband light.
Uh-huh.
It's like, they call it BBL, but people think Brazilian butt lift. But it's a BBL for your face.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I might do one of those after the summer, and I think that's worth it. If you have dark spots, it absolutely does remove those, and that's noticeable. So I think that's everything. So the things that for my face that I'm like, yeah, totally worth it. Upper blepharoplasty, the BBL, and some Botox, but not going crazy with it.
Yeah.
And I definitely, at some point I will get a facelift. I keep saying when I'm 50, I'll do the facelift. And especially after the weight loss, like you said, your neck, I notice the same thing. And like in photos too, I'll see like just so much like loose skin under my chin
Mhm.
and on my neck. And I think it would help the resting bitch face too. And I think
It
that,
probably would pull it up.
they're pulling up your entire lower face. And I think that would help.
He recommended to me, and I'm gonna maybe look, just I wanna do my due diligence and chat with somebody else too, even though I love Dr. Ghazi for his stuff that he did with, our bodies, but he recommended putting some fat in my face, and I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
I don't
Fat
know."
transfer. Yeah,
I don't even know where he's gonna find it from. I really need the
I
fat put into my boobs, to be honest. I
I
have
would
a lot.
probably do fat transfer along with doing a facelift. Now,
In
I've
your
read a lot
face, you
about
would?
it. Yeah, I
Oh.
would. I would probably get some fat in my cheeks
Okay.
And I would also, for myself, I would do the lower breath at the
Oh,
same time. And I don't know if there would be any fat with that too. But yeah, like it's a longer term solution than filler. The bad thing
right.
about it is apparently your body only keeps like 30 to 50% of what they
Yep.
put in. So I've heard some people say this added, several $1,000s to the cost of the
Mm,
procedure, and then they didn't retain any of it and they can't tell. Same with boobs. Like I've thought about getting a breast lift and I'm like, I don't want implants, but I don't, want my boobs to get any smaller than they already are. And so I thought I wanted fat transfer, but then the more I read about it, I'm like, I don't know. So I don't know what I'll do,
mm.
if anything. You've had a number of things done to your body. So what all have you done?
Yeah. So I will preface this by saying people might say, like, oh my God, she's obsessed with plastic surgery. Maybe. I don't know. I'm the first one to say it. Like, maybe I do have a little obsession with it. Because once I say all the things I had and where it all started from, yeah,
And as long as you're not turning into, the celebrities who their faces end up
that I'm like
looking
wanting to
crazy.
look like a plastic Barbie face
Yeah.
or like, yeah, something crazy. Like, no. But I will say that yes, growing up, as we talked about in the past episodes, as the overweight kid and the fat teenager and obese adult and so on and so forth. It was around when I was like 20 years old, I think, is when I lost like 80 pounds, and I was feeling great. And I will never forget, like I was at the beach with my mom, and she was like, "Oh, are you gonna get lipo?" And I'm like, what? And that was probably her projecting on me, but
Yeah.
I took it, I took it to heart, and she's probably not going to want to hear this, and probably is not listening to any of these episodes, but that is where it started. And at the time,
Okay.
what started becoming really popular were all the reality shows like Nip Tuck.
Oh,
That
and
was
also the
really,
Swan. Do you remember the
yes,
Swan?
I
With
would
that
love for
it
them
was
to
a
bring that back.
reality
It
show
was
where they
so
would
good.
yeah, it was like they'd just completely make over a full body plastic surgery transformation
Face,
and
body,
have
clothes, and they didn't see
yeah.
themselves in the mirror for like the whole time,
And their
however long it
teeth, they
was.
would get like
Oh,
veneers
I
and
was
yes.
obsessed. So
Yeah.
I can tell you that I became obsessed, and I found a doctor in Florida, and I went to for the consult,
Was
and I just,
Miami at that time like a big hotbed for plastic surgery yet? I Nip Tuck took place in Miami, so I guess it's
uh-huh.
been
Yep.
a long time.
It was definitely. So I did this in Fort Lauderdale. Now I chose somebody. Did I do a lot of research? No, because to be honest, this
You were in
was,
your 20s, right?
yeah, I was in my 20s. Plus, let's be real. So I graduated college in 2003, December 2003. I used this as a gift to myself for graduation. When I started college in 99, and then I took like 6 months off in like 2000, the internet was really just getting started, you know?
Yeah.
So even I remember back then my college giving me an email address. I'm like, what is this? Why do I need this? What do I use this for? So we didn't have the ability to research and do all these things like we do now, right? And get reviews. So you kind of found some place and you went, and you talked to them, and you're like,
Mhm.
okay. So I agreed I was going to do this, and I remember my mom. She had given me like a gift for my graduation. It was like cash, and she mentioned in the card like, "Oh, you can put this towards your procedure." And I said, "Oh, I already booked it," and she got mad. And I was like,
Really?
why? You just said you were giving me money to this, and you're the one who told me about it. I don't know. And then she got mad at my then ex-husband. She was having him, when we were still dating, she wanted him to talk me out of it. And I was like,
And she's
literally
the one who
confused.
planted the idea.
Planted the idea, then I said, okay, I'm going to go and do it. And then gave me a card with money to put towards it. And then I said, I already booked it.
Makes no sense.
None
So
at
what was
all.
the procedure you booked? Was it lipo or was it more?
Yep.
Okay.
So I
It's
booked
lipo.
lipo. So I did lipo of my stomach. I did my saddlebags. I used to really have like, it was just everybody in our family had like the little, saddlebags that
Yeah.
even after I got them taken out, my jeans still kept that former shape of them. So I did the saddlebags, the thighs, and the stomach. I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Yes.
So were
That
you
was
under general
painful.
anesthesia or was that
No, I
like
was
you were
out.
awake? Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of
Yeah.
some people now getting it awake, which seems crazy to me.
I've done that.
Have you?
Yeah.
How
Of
was
course I have.
that?
Well, so wait. So this one I did, it was super painful, super
I just
bruised, super swollen.
watching it like on YouTube and stuff, it is kind of violent. Like they put
It
all this
is.
fluid in you and then that stick that's doing whatever it does to the fat and they are really
The cannula, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
that cannula, they're really doing it hard in the
Well,
body.
the thing about this is, and back then, right, and why this is so important to choose somebody that you make sure that's really credible is that that was just like a hot zone for people operating without their licenses.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
and
apparently legal for any doctor to do these procedures, even if they're not certified in plastic surgery or a member of is it the American Board of Plastic Surgery? Or so you have to be
mhm.
really careful and make sure that you're going to someone who is actually qualified.
Well, I think who I went to, it had turned out like way later on, I heard that maybe they had some issues and claims against him and whether or not he had that license going at the time. Again, that was just very common back then, which is scary.
Yeah.
Um, and after that, I did go for a touch up again. And then it was like several years, and then I had some more stuff. But what I was going to say was why it is so crucial, so important. And even Dr. Ghazi explained this to me. What happens down in South Florida and a lot of these places that are close proximity to South American countries is that they will go and bring surgeons from other countries to operate under their license. And it's like a chop shop. And they
Yeah.
squeeze so many of these, the doctors are there, and boom, 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 getting
And
all
that's
these
how they make it
patients.
cheap because if it's a surgeon
Yes.
from another country, the dollar goes a lot farther, so you can pay them a lot less.
And
And
they're
I've heard
squeezing
that
in.
like you often don't even meet the surgeon who's doing your surgery. It's
Yep.
just you show up to the place and the surgeon working that day does your procedure.
Yep. You sometimes are never even consulting with them. I know somebody that happened to, and she got botched. And
I think I've
mhm.
seen some photos of botched folks.
Yep. And what happens too is that, if you go to a place like that and you do get botched and you end up in a hospital situation down there, which a lot of people do, they are not very willing and able to always help you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and then these people are hopping on an airplane to fly back home, but then they're getting back home and then they're ending up with all these infections and everything. And it is really like, even Dr. Ghazi explained to me what these places are charging for the implants. Like implants have a certain cost, right? Like they kind of cost whatever it is as they are. And then there's the surgeon's fees and the anesthesiologist. Well, they're marking down the price of just the item. He's like, but that's not even possible because it costs X dollars. So if it is truly you know, registered, they have to register these. Each one has codes and has like warranty on them. If it's truly that, there's no way it
It's
can
not
be because
possible to charge that.
they're
Interesting.
charging below that. So that's a red flag alone. So really, if
Mm.
it sounds too good to be true, and people think like, I know some people like, well, I'll go to Miami because it's a plastic surgery capital. Well, it's so cheap because there's so many of them, and then they're flying doctors in, and it's scary. I know
Yeah.
that one lady who's going wild on TikTok now who got her facelift in Guadalajara,
Yeah.
and you know, hopefully we'll be able to try to find her to chat with her about her story. And I know that there's places that you can go that, they've perfectly fine experiences and everything, but generally speaking, you got to be really safe.
Yeah, I've looked into the travel to visit another surgeon. Like some people go to Turkey, a lot of people go to
Mhm.
Mexico, and there are excellent surgeons in other countries. But my biggest concern is, yes, I could do tons of research, find an amazing surgeon, but complications happen even with the best of surgeons, even with the
Mhm.
best of techniques. It's just something that happens
Yep.
sometimes. And if you have a complication, and then you come home, it can be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to find a local surgeon who's willing to treat your complications.
They don't
So
want to usually.
Exactly. They
take
don't
on
wanna
that risk.
touch somebody else's work. They don't want to have that liability, and it can become a real nightmare.
Mhm.
I've seen people in different, like, plastic surgery, Facebook groups saying, "I'm gonna have to take, like, 3 months off of work and go back to Guadalajara and stay at an Airbnb to do, hyperbaric chamber and this and that
Yep.
under their surgeon's care." And that, I work. I can't just take time off and go back to Mexico, so it's definitely a consideration.
Yeah, and all the costs associated too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let
what
me
did you
think.
have next? So you had the lipo in your
Yep.
20s.
So then let me try to think when I decided this. So then, so what you don't, if you get lipo, so a lot of people don't understand is basically you have a certain amount of fat, you know, molecules or in one area, like I did for the pocket of the saddlebags. So yes, lipo removes those. There's still fat cells that are there. So if you were to gain weight after, you'll still expand, but you won't have that shape. So it changes your shape.
Mhm.
Um, but what also happens too, because I got lipo in my stomach and my thighs, I didn't get it on my back fat, or my arms. So then there's technically more fat cells in those areas than the other one. You almost have to like take things down evenly. So I started realizing over the time when I got pregnant with Gabby and then after and was pregnant again, weight's going up and down and you age, that my back fat was like, oh,
Mm.
it just was hanging, and my arms even more so too. So I did go get the local and did some of the back fat removal and my arms.
When was that?
That was,
So this wasn't anything recent. This is a long time ago.
no, yeah, this was like 11 years ago now, maybe, I
So
would
what
say.
was it like being awake during that?
It was not fun. I way prefer going to sleep. It's so much
Yeah.
better. I kind of like prefer it. You're awake and you feel them like poking around, could be a little bit painful. It wasn't fun. I was loopy, but it wasn't fun.
Could
So,
you feel, like, how rough they're being? Because that's
mhm.
always something that is
Yep.
surprising.
And you can look
Yeah.
over and you see like the fat, like in the little cup thing. And I was just like, get more, and what is interesting about that is that each state has different regulations as far as how much fat they're allowed to remove. Georgia, where we live, is considered one of the fatter states. They can take out more fat here. And I don't know, I haven't looked into this
Interesting.
recently, what's changed or which states, other ones or what, but that's just kind of how it is. There's just a certain amount that they're allowed to take out.
And that's
Um,
why lipo, you always hear plastic surgeons say, this is not a weight loss procedure. You can't have 50 pounds of fat removed. And that's because I think you would bleed out or you'd bleed. Like it's risky to be taking these cells out of your body. So you can only do so much.
Yeah, they want you to get down to really close to basically your perfect ideal weight. And this is like the icing on the cake to give you that final shape and
Mhm.
overall touch. So that's how to best go about it. So then it was in 2015, it was like the year I got divorced. I decided, I was like, you know what? My boobs they've always been big. But I've lost a lot of weight again. My weight was up and down my whole life, still even then. And I was like, I feel like all I have left over is skin here. I want to do a lift. So I did a lift. And when I went to go consult with the doctor, he's like, I don't think you need implants. Cause I was like, I felt like all I had left over was just skin. And I was like,
Mhm.
if you just remove the skin, then I'm going to have like small boobs. I didn't
That's what I
understand
worry
breast
about.
tissue. Yeah. Well, but back then for me, I didn't understand breast tissue and that I had a good bit of it, which is what he was explaining to me. And he's like, Tiffany, we can always just do the lift. And then if you decide you want an implant later,
Mhm.
we can just pop one in. And I was like, if I may, this is not popping a stick of gum in your mouth. This is like going through the whole surgery again.
Yeah.
Just do it. Of course. And they look great. It was like amazing. It was hella painful out of all
Well,
the
how big
surgeries.
did you go?
I just did a very small, whatever the smallest
Okay.
was. I don't know or remember the CCs or
Because
anything.
I remember your boobs got bigger. So I guess we'll get to that because at some point they became
massive.
Huge.
Right.
Okay,
And
so they weren't big when you had them done.
that's where breast tissue comes into play. And as you age
Okay.
and you get older, and specifically women who have naturally good breast tissue, and as you get older too, it's going to keep growing. So then, as did my weight, up and down always. And then I was left with these massive boobs, like
They were huge. Yeah.
huge. And I didn't even realize myself how big. So
I forget now. I remember seeing a photo from our Turks and Caicos. I was like, oh my God, I don't remember your boobs being that big. They were gigantic.
bigger than my freaking head, I swear.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
Huge.
had your boobs, and then did you have a tummy tuck at the same time or just boobs?
I did it differently. So I did that in that year in 2015.
Okay.
I did it in January. Writing my medical history down and is really a pain because I had so many
Yeah.
surgeries. It's like I did that in January. So I did the small implants. I did that, and they were very painful. Very painful putting them in. Then I went back that summer and I did a tummy tuck. I did a full tummy tuck. So now some people think, and I know that when we talked about with you, like full tummy tuck or not. So my doctor explained at the time, it's just like full, you're going to really like, basically he cut open and because I was pregnant twice and stretched a lot. So cutting open and vertically removing a piece of your muscle, like your internal corset, and then cinching you in, and then cutting horizontally and removing that chunk of skin and then pulling you together. So it's inwards and together. So you're really creating a waist.
No, they're not removing muscle. They're basically sewing the muscle together. That
Yes.
diastasis recti
Yes.
or whatever it's
Yes.
called. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't like that. To me, that wasn't that big of a deal, the surgery. I felt like I was hunched over for a bit and really tight because I had a C-section too. So C-section is one of the most invasive surgeries, like how deep and how many layers you go through. So that was great, but I still felt as though I had a little bit of hangover on there. And I then later went to Dr. Ghazi to fix that and do more.
Mm-hmm. And then you got your implants removed at some point.
I did. So I decided that they were too big and I wanted to get an explant procedure. A lot of people started talking about BII, breast implants illness. And I don't think I had it. I've heard a lot of people who did have it, and those who don't know about it, like look it up. But it's essentially like your body's trying to constantly fight off this foreign object that's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it can cause like a lot of different difficulties in your health. And I just felt like, you know what, this is a lot for me to carry around. It just wasn't me. And so I got the implants removed. I got a lift and a reduction.
Okay.
Because I still had enough breast tissue to remove. And then after that, I lost like 80 pounds. And now I have like nothing. I'm just going to go back and tweak the skin and see if we can add a little bit of fat. But
yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't want to add up how much you've spent on all this. Let's just never do that.
There's more than those even still.
Oh yeah. I remember something on your back, at the top of your back, right?
Yeah. Well, and also the arms and then the thighs and the butt tuck. But yeah, no, I did because I've always had like the dowager hump. Like,
now I'll say that I remember you
pad.
showing this to me and saying we're at the beach, and you're like, "I'm gonna take care of this," and I know I didn't see it. I was like, I don't know, your back looks fine, but
I've had people like even my ex-husband used to poke fun at myself, like, and my younger sister too, because we just kind of had this like fat pad back there on our neck. And I just felt like from the profile, like, I think it was always because, like, I have the big boobs, or I did. And it made me just feel, like, larger.
Yeah. So was that just lipo?
That was when he was doing, like, the tummy tuck revision.
Okay. And then recently you had 2 more things done, right? Is this everything?
Maybe it was like
once
3, actually. Yeah. So then last November, I did the brachioplasty after seeing how amazing your arms were.
This is an arm lift. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did a thigh lift. So I did full down the thigh, actually like most of the way going down. And then a
Now
butt
this
tuck.
time it was mainly because of the weight loss. And you're smaller now than
Yes.
have
I've
you
never
ever
been in
been
my
this
entire
small?
life. No,
Yeah. Yeah. So this was like legit loose skin being removed.
1,000%. Yep.
Yeah.
And, I at first was nervous, just I think but then after seeing you go through the arm surgery, I was like, wow, I can finally for the first time in my life wear all these sleeveless shirts and you
Mm-hmm.
don't see it unless you were to raise your arm.
Yep.
And it's changed my life. So I was nervous at first with the scar, but then I saw you in pictures and you really just see yourself from the front and the back and the side. And
You were going to do a mini at first, right?
yeah. Oh, I did forget. There was a
Oh
time when
yeah, you did. You did do a
I
mini.
did do a mini, yes. And yeah, see, I told you there's so many. People are going to be either having a lot of questions for me, A, which I'm happy to answer, or B, being like, she's crazy, but that's fine. I'm here to tell my truth. Yes, there was at one point too where I did the mini, and I am glad I did it back then because otherwise, this last arm procedure would have been a lot more to handle. So that
Yeah.
one, I did lipo on them, and then the mini was basically like the scar going vertically under the armpit, and he pulled the skin forward. So it did help them thin it out, but still, losing like another 80 pounds after that. And again, this is just
Yeah.
because my whole life I've been up and down, and that's
Yeah.
just kind of what happens. But yeah, and then
Yeah.
I did the butt tuck. So my butt, even though I've always had a pretty decent sized butt, he was looking at it and he wanted to do a fat transfer. And I was like, no, I've always had a big butt. I just have extra skin here that I want to remove. So it was like a cut basically below both of the butt cheeks to kind of tighten the skin. And I have to go back to get it more removed, probably because I've lost a couple more pounds, but more also because there just was a lot of it. And now it's kind of hanging down.
Yeah.
So
And the thighs.
the thighs. So the thighs, he did lipo on them as well. And then the arms, and he did this skin tight procedure. Did he do that on yours too?
Mm-mm.
I
No.
thought he did. Yeah, just some procedure on there and my thighs that basically help tighten the skin a bit more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So out of all these procedures, which ones do you regret and which ones would you say are worth it?
I regretted the implants.
Okay.
I've seen other people, friends of mine, who've just gotten the lift. I totally think it's the best thing ever, but I think you can try doing a fat transfer if you feel like you need it. I think some
And there's
people.
also the auto augmentation, which is they
I don't know
just
if I
kind
know
of
that one.
yeah, they just kind of if you get a lift, they change around the tissue inside to kind of push it up to give you some upper pole volume.
Oh,
I saw a TikTok. There's this plastic surgeon on TikTok who will use PlayDoh to show you how different surgeries are done. And the auto augmentation one was super interesting because I never really understood where does that tissue come from and where is it going. And so anyone interested should find that on TikTok because it's super interesting showing how they move the tissue you already have to just go up higher to give you some
wow.
more upper pole
We'll find it
volume.
and put it in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Okay, so other than the implants, you don't really regret any of it. Like the first lipo, you were happy with it?
I don't because it was at the stage in my life. And again, it made me feel good at that time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a
What
lot of
was the
people,
hardest recovery? Which
anytime it was that lipo.
really?
And yeah, because it was so much and all over and the pain. And again, I have a decent pain tolerance. Tummy tuck wasn't really bad. The breast explants and the lift and reduction, not bad at all. And then I was going to say too, on both of those times, my areolas are just freaking huge and I have flat nipples. So, and again, as you get older and after having the
Yep.
first lift and implants, then they stretch. So he had made them smaller that time and then the implants and the weight and everything make it stretch. So then he had to make it smaller again. So now I think they're probably a decent size, but they're just kind of deflated a little bit. But yeah, I think getting the implants in, most painful. All the other
Okay.
ones, pretty much a breeze. But anytime there's like lipo involved, it's more painful. But when it was this last time with my thighs and my arms, it was a less amount. So it wasn't
Yeah.
bad at all.
Did you ever have any complications with any of them?
So I did with my tummy tuck, which is common to happen too. My doctor that I used at that time, Dr. Wright Jones, which he's amazing, and he's in Atlanta, and he was on one of the Atlanta plastic shows. He's really popular here, mostly with tummy tucks and BBLs and stuff like that. He did a drainless tummy tuck. It was awesome. But even though people do, if they'll do drainless, you can still be susceptible to getting a what's it called?
Seroma.
The seroma. Yes. And that was kind of what made that surgery annoying, because you get I didn't have drains in that, but you're kind of done and you go for your checkup. And then the fluid is going to, it needs to collect somewhere. It's going to collect at a lowermost point. So it was like in my groin area. So then trying to go back to work and wear like jeans or regular clothes, like my pants don't close because you're still swollen from the tummy tuck, even though you're smaller, you're still swollen. But then I had the fluid. So I had to go in office about every week for several weeks to drain it.
Yeah. How big was your seroma? Like, was it small?
No, it was pretty decent size, like pretty, like basically kind of, because a nice decent pad down there of
Yeah.
fluid. I did get it also with the tummy tuck revision. It just seems as though like that, I think it's at lowermost region,
Yeah, it's pretty common with the tummy tuck.
susceptible. And people can freak out and get worried about it, but it was fine.
Yeah. So what I read, because I researched the drainless versus the drains, and it's interesting. It's kind of like what I just kind of gathered is one's really not better than the other. Just some surgeons prefer one technique as opposed to the other. And so really just pick your surgeon and go with the surgeon that you like. But drainless, they stitch your skin. I think it's a certain kind of stitching where so typically when they do a tummy tuck, they're basically skinning you. They're pulling all of your skin up and separating it from the stuff underneath. And so when they remove skin and then they're putting the skin you have back down and sewing you up, and that creates a space in between you and whatever is the layer underneath. I obviously did not take much anatomy in college, but whatever's underneath. And so that is where the fluid can build up. So
anytime there's a space, there's a pocket, it's going to get filled with fluid.
Yes. And so with drains, they put a drain in that space while it's healing to drain out. With drainless, it's a certain way of stitching. So there, in theory, is not a place for that fluid to go and collect. So you recommended Dr. Ghazi to me. So I was just like, all right, I'm going with the drains. But
I just feel as though because I knew I had it before and I did drainless and it didn't help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your body's it's healing. It's only natural. It's going to have to eliminate. So while the drains can be annoying to hang around with you for like 2 weeks or so, get one of those little holsters. I got it on Amazon and it made it easier so you don't catch it on things. But
what surgeries did you have to have drains with?
The breast implants and gosh, honestly, I
Was
didn't
it the tummy tuck revision?
The tummy tuck revision, yes. The explants I did, and then the implants initially getting them in. Actually, no, I didn't do that with the implants. I want to say the tummy tuck revision was the first time I had drains.
Okay.
Yeah, it was because I didn't know the whole thing, like how to clear the bulb drain and all that stuff. So yeah.
So which procedure was the longest recovery for you?
I would say that very first, like lipo.
That's so interesting because you keep saying that was the most painful and the longest. Okay. Did you have to have someone taking care of you?
Yes, I did. It's somebody taking care of me. Usually, I bounce back, even though when I say it takes the longest to recover, it just meant that like I was probably in pain or more uncomfortable for a while. I have a tendency to, I'll get it done on a Friday and I'm back in on Monday. So I took more time.
I could never have done that.
But yeah, the thing is with the pain pills, I'm not used to being on things.
Yeah.
So I took it the first day and then the second day I start weaning at night. because it makes you
Yeah.
really constipated.
It
And then that
does.
causes
That
a
is
whole other slew of problems.
yes. Yeah, when you're trying to heal, especially from an abdominal surgery, the constipation is not fun.
Well, something
Yeah.
too I learned from having been on a GLP-1 is, it slows being on a GLP-1, you're slowing down your whole gastric flow of processing your food and everything. So you're supposed to be off of them, at least our surgeon said, for like 2 weeks prior. Great. Got off of them, but I was like, ooh, I can't wait to get back on. So I passed my first bowel and then I got back on the shot, but the pain meds can still reside in your system for like another
Mhm.
week or so. So then it adds to what the medicine does, slowing down everything and the constipation. So it's best just to wait like a week or
Yeah.
two if you're on a GLP-1 to get back on, like so that the pain medicine is fully cleared out of your system so you don't have any additional problems.
Yeah, yeah. After my surgeries, I think I might have waited a full month after, but
Oh,
my
wow.
main concern was having enough appetite to eat enough protein and calories to heal.
That too.
And I just wanted to make sure that I was getting in everything I needed. And I didn't really get hungry. Like I didn't notice a huge difference. So I think if you're feeling okay, it can't hurt to take a little more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as like what I've gotten done, so I never had anything done until recently after losing, so I lost 120 pounds.
Hmm.
And I've been obese like God, my almost my whole life, definitely my entire adult life. And so the thing that bothered me the most were my arms. That was the number one thing because I just had so much loose skin underneath. And I love wearing sleeveless. We live in Atlanta. It's freaking
Yeah.
hot here so much of the year. And I want to be able to wear sleeveless, even in like, business, like blouses and
Yeah.
stuff to be able to
Yep.
stay cool. And I still wore sleeveless, but I just was self-conscious of all that loose skin. So that was the main thing I wanted done. But then I did also, even after losing that much weight, and actually I lost 20 more pounds after my plastic surgery. So I had lost 100 when I got everything done.
Hmm.
My stomach, I felt like it was still fat. I felt like I just still had this like roll. It was like a roll of fat. And so I thought, oh, I want to get lipo on my stomach and then breast implants and a lift. So that's what I wanted done with those three things, but my arms were the priority. And then I
Hmm.
went and consulted with Dr. Ghazi, who said that he won't do well. One, he said my stomach, that wasn't something a lipo out. It was skin, which you
You're
knew,
like,
but
there's
I
no fat.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it looked like out on the outside, it looked like a fat roll, but that's because there is some fat attached to your skin, right? But it was just
Hmm.
old, stretched out skin, which I've never been pregnant, but I think a lot of people after pregnancies probably get that kind of stomach. And
Yeah.
if anyone knows what a bee belly is, I had that bee belly where
What's a
it's
bee
like,
belly?
so it's like you have an upper, like a little kind of fat
Oh,
pooch,
yes.
and then you have a bigger fat pooch. And then
Hmm.
even if you lose weight and get to a healthy weight, you're still shaped like that for
I had a
some
little bit of that.
reason.
And I think that's why I went to get the revision of the tummy tuck because I still felt like there was a
Okay.
little pooch there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I still had that bee belly and I was just hoping, oh, let's just go in and suck out the fat, but it was loose skin. So in that consultation, Dr. Ghazi was like, all right, the arm lift, no problem. He did say, have you looked at pictures of scars? Like it's a major scar. And I had looked at tons of pictures. Like, yeah, I want the skin gone. And then he said, okay, and then this would be a tummy tuck. And then we would have to do the breast lift at a different time. I was actually hoping to do arms and breasts and then
Mm.
later go back for tummy. I'm actually really glad at how it worked out. So we did arms and stomach, and that was Ghazi just won't do breasts and arms at the same time. And every surgeon's different. Some say they
Yep.
will, some won't. It has to do with like the proximity to each other. And
Blood
he
flow.
just
Hmm.
yeah, and he just preferred to do them in different areas. And then, like the surgeon we used won't let you be under anesthesia for more than 6 hours. And I think
Hmm.
it's just because it gets more risky after that 6 hours. So you'll hear that there are some plastic surgeons who will do 3, 4 procedures at the same time, but it's a little more risky to do that. And I'm good playing it safe. Like this is cosmetic. It's not worth, something really bad happening. So I was fine with that. And I completely intended on, after having arms and tummy tuck done, to go back and do the breasts and not
Uh-huh.
wait a long time. But after going through that, my recovery was like, it kicked my ass. So
Yeah.
now I'm just like, I mean, I might go back at some point, but I might not. I don't know. The facelift is definitely something I'll do.
Yeah.
The arm, so mine was extended. So, it starts at my elbows, the incision goes completely through my armpit and then down my sides, kind of to where the bottom of my bra
Oh,
band
is that what
is.
extended me? Because mine goes to the elbow, but it doesn't go down on the sides
Yeah, like
there.
you're stopped in the armpit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so extended is they keep going and down your sides, and that's because I had a lot of excess skin. I kind of looked like a Shar-Pei, like these just like
Mm-hmm.
wrinkles under on my sides, and so that removed that skin, and the scar in this area and through my armpit you can barely see, but you
Yeah,
can
you
see
can't
this.
even see.
No, I mean, it's so minor, like, unless you're holding your arm a certain way, it's just not
And
noticeable in
mine
my
only just still
opinion.
has more color now because it's not even been a year. Like, it was
Yeah,
just November,
yeah. I'm
but
more
it's
than a
really
year and a
lightened.
half out at this point, and I feel like in the video, they actually look pinker than in person,
Mm-hmm.
but,
They
yeah,
do.
I just, this side scarred a little worse, but no, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I feel great being able to wear sleeveless stuff and strapless and
Yeah.
have skinny arms.
Oh, yeah. What I was going to say was what I loved, how I ended up finding Dr. Ghazi was a referral from my former surgeon, Dr. Wright Jones. And what I loved about him and what he said, he was like, look, uh, plastic surgery after weight loss, like skin removal, it is an art. And he's like, it's not my thing. It wasn't his favorite thing. Like he loved tummy tucks and, BBLs. And it's important to find a surgeon that really like knows what they're doing in that specific area because it is so tricky. Because
Mhm.
it's like so many things can go wrong and the shape of your
Yeah.
body and everything like that. And I loved how honest he was. He's like, look, I can take your money and fix these little areas that you want to do and go after it. He's like, but go see Dr. Ghazi because he is truly an artist. And he's like, I'm not one to be giving away business, but
Mhm.
he valued his reputation and the relationship that we had from the work he did on me before, to say, go see him because, so just don't jump into somebody. It's really important to do your research and see, which is why, like, I'm consulting him for my face, but I also want to consult with somebody else too, because I do know like the body is his thing and I know he still does faces, but it's important to do your research.
Yeah, I think when I do my face, I want to use someone who only does faces.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are people who that's just their specialty. They just are doing facelifts every day.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so my recovery, and it was interesting, the arms, and of course I'm the researcher, and so I did so much reading, asked so many people in Facebook groups, et cetera. And a lot of people said that the arms were brutal and that it was worse than tummy tucks.
Yeah.
Some people will have zaps from the nerves. And so they would say it's not so much the pain, it's these weird nerve zaps
Yeah.
that are,
Yeah.
and I guess that part's painful, but it's just a weird pain. And thankfully, I didn't have any of that. Did you experience that?
Let me try to remember because what I do remember is, and this happened to me a bunch of times, but I couldn't quite figure it out. I have a really bad allergic reaction to, I think what we
Like
have figured
tape
it
or
out.
something?
We first thought it was the glue, but then I think we figured out it's the tape. And even though it's tape that is like hypoallergenic, whatever, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because it's happened to me with my boobs before and these. And the worst red rash that breaks out. Oh my God.
Oh,
And then it becomes itchy and really skin crawly. And the thing is that once your nerves, because your arms have so many nerves, and I think that's what they mean by the zaps,
yes. Yeah.
there's so many nerve endings there. So between the bruising and your healing and everything, and the itching and like, oh, I was gonna die. But that can also mess up your healing of your scars too. Because
Mhm.
there were some spots on my thighs that like Yeah, I think I definitely created a little bigger gap of a hole. So what we figured out is me being allergic to that stuff. I got on like an antibiotic, like a cream and a steroid and oral. And I think what we figured out is for the next time, if I start on like an allergy pill beforehand to get in the system, that'll help calm my body down.
Oh,
Some people just
yeah.
react. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something like you just never know what your body's going to do, and that's something that
Hmm.
I learned. So I was kind of anticipating the arms being bad. They were so easy. I just
Easy.
like an absolute breeze.
Yeah,
The
you wear
worst
like the
thing
little compression things.
yeah, the
Better to get it.
worst thing
Most people
about
get
the
it done in the fall and winter.
exactly. The worst thing about the arms for me was the swelling. And there was one day, maybe 2, 3 days out from surgery, they swelled up so much that it woke me up at night because my skin felt tight. Like I
Hmm.
felt like my skin was just going to burst. And it wasn't pain. It
Right.
just was this like weird, tight, stretched feeling. But I just like elevated my arms. I think I put like a pillow in front of me or something and it took care of that. So the arms are a breeze. The tummy tuck kicked my ass.
Really.
I was not expecting it to be as bad as it was, and I did an extended, so they went
Hmm.
past the hip bones, kind of towards my butt cheeks, and I think that what made it bad was I did develop a seroma, and it was really big. So like a few days out from surgery, actually, I think it was more than that because I had drains in and then my drains came out, I think at 3 weeks. And so I think it was after that that the seroma developed. And there was this lump on my hip that
Oh, was it your
was
hip?
so it went from my belly button. It was gigantic. It went all the way from my
Oh.
belly button all the way to a little bit past my hip bone.
Oh.
And yeah, and the first thing I started noticing was I had this big mass on my hip that was almost the size of like a softball or maybe half a softball. I mean, it was big. Like it would fit in my
Wow.
hand if I put my hand on it. And it was hard. And I
Huh.
called the nurse and sent in a picture. And they're like, well, we don't know what that is, but come in. And it turned out that it was a seroma. It was gigantic. And the amount that they had to drain from it was crazy.
Wow.
And, they told me that I think I came in every few days to have it drained. And, they did say it's possible we could end up having to go back in and do some
Mhm.
stuff in there
Were
to
you
to
doing
help
a
it
lot of
heal.
moving around during that time? Because I remember after my first tummy tuck, he was like, "No exercising, da 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 da," and I
Mhm.
was so anxious to get back into it that I kinda glossed over and or missed that, and then I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, I'm back in the gym." He's like, "What?" So,
And I
like,
was
a lot
definitely
of
I wasn't in
movement.
the gym. I wasn't, being very active,
Going up and
but
down the stairs a lot.
When they told me that they're like, "Move as little as you can,"
Yeah.
I practically put myself on bed rest. Like, I got hardcore about, "I'm getting rid of this thing. I don't want another surgery."
Yeah.
So I did, like, super tight compression. I watched YouTube videos on, like, lymphatic massage and did
And
some
you
of
have
them.
to drink a lot of water. A lot of people think
Yes.
like it's counterintuitive to think like, oh, if I'm going to drink all this water, I have all this extra water hanging around in the seroma or fluid. Well, actually, no, you do need, it's part of the healing process and it helps
Mhm.
flush it out. Hmm.
Yeah, so I drank a lot of water and I did, I think it was called Juven that you added to your water and it just gives you
Hmm.
like extra protein and stuff.
Protein.
And it did eventually clear up, thank God. But I think that because of that, it made me very fatigued. I think it just took longer for my body to heal
Uh
because
huh.
that seroma was huge. And it wasn't so much the pain. I mean, the pain sucked,
Yeah.
but I was always able to like go to the bathroom on my own. I was able to shower and that wasn't
Yeah.
an issue. I tried to go back to work after taking 2 weeks off, and when I say back to work, I mean just working from home on my laptop, and I
Right.
couldn't keep my eyes open, and I was falling
Really?
asleep.
Was did
Yeah.
you were you still on the pain pills or
Not
you
at
were out?
that point, no, I was just taking
Okay.
Tylenol.
Oh,
So I
wow.
really think it was just my body healing and completely zapped my energy, and so I ended up taking almost 4 weeks off.
Oh my god.
So I know, I'm self-employed and thankfully had an attorney who was handling things for me and
Mhm.
doing a good job. So it was okay. But I do tell people going into it, do have a backup plan if you need a little bit extra time because you don't want to be forcing your body. I remember the first time I went to court after having the tummy tuck, I still was sore and kind of hobbling around
Moving
and
slow.
yeah, moving slow. So, but I mean, I would do it again. Like I am super happy with it, and it no serious complications. It was totally worth it for sure.
Yeah, I agree there, and I think, like, my whole life, and while my daughter's growing up, I would shy away from being in the photos, and then I lost all this weight, and then I still wasn't feeling like it was complete, and now
Mhm.
I am so happy. It's like anybody could take I used to always have to feel like I would art direct the photos, and I would say, "Oh, that's because 'cause I'm a creative director, like, I wanna make sure I get the picture." No, like, I wanted to
The
control the
angles,
outcome and the
yeah,
angles. And I hated that. Like, nobody could
yeah,
just take a candid photo and capture a moment of video and me wonder and worry, like, what do I look like? And again, I know this is stuff I have inside of me that I'm always working on in myself, right? I own that. But at the same time, like, it's just so different, you know? And to each their own, on
yeah,
what somebody feels. There's a whole thing about like, should people just age gracefully and accept it? Well, I look and feel better to me, it's for myself than
yeah,
I ever did in my whole life. Like, and I'm gonna enjoy it and do what I want to make myself happy. And I'm gonna go back and get my nose
yeah.
done too. Because I have a deviated septum, and I'm like, well, I'll use that opportunity to fix that and then make this a little bit smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason why I'm so glad that I ended up getting the tummy tuck instead of the breasts is I can wear tight dresses. So
Yes.
that's kind of why I was like, oh, I want lipo on my stomach, not realizing what I really needed is I put on, I think it was like a tank dress that, like
Yes.
kind of a t-shirt and it was fitted and you could still see my B belly. And I'm like, it'd be so nice to be able to just wear something fitted and you don't see that shape. And now I can wear, I don't need to wear Spanx anymore. I can just wear tight body forming clothing and it looks really good. And I feel like it's easier to camouflage the boobs than it would have been. Like the B belly, I would have had to like wear Spanx
Right.
and that's really uncomfortable. With the boobs, like I don't mind the size of mine. It really is. They're small, but there's excess skin. And so I do have to wear a bra to push them up. Like that's easier than hiding a belly.
Well, that too, but also when the struggle that I did have with the implants, even when I was smaller size, and they were at the smaller size, was you can't just like fit into clothes and dresses and things like that where because it's a hard thing that is not going to really change shape. And I had the gummy bear ones that were more softer, natural feeling, whatever. But you can no longer just like mold and like, oh, like you can just squeeze into this. So finding clothes to fit was really hard
Yeah.
once it's like
Yeah.
a fixed item. I don't really know how women who are just super, super petite thin, plus like the larger breasts, how they do it, how they're able to find. I think it's just then you're gonna have
Probably
to
have
pay
to get
for
stuff
more.
altered. Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. The one thing that does bother me with the breasts and where sometimes I'm like, maybe at some point I'll get them done, is if I'm trying on, like there's so many sundresses that are like backless
Yeah.
or that are just cut in ways where it'd be nice to not wear a bra. And my cup size is certainly small enough that I don't need to wear a bra, but my boobs aren't in the right place. So I've tried on
Same with
some of
mine.
yeah, really? So I've tried on
Yes.
some dresses before, and especially the ones that have like the seam where your boobs are supposed to be, and mine are like down below, and I'm like, this
I've
I
tried
can't wear
those
this.
those little sticky bra pad thingies
I've
recently.
ordered some that are like the
They don't
cakes.
work.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, so that's like my one complaint. I don't
Because
care so
they're
much
just,
about the
I'm like, what are
size.
people doing? And it says, oh, it creates cleavage. I'm like, this is not
Yeah,
working.
and I don't even care about cleavage. Like, it would just be nice if they were higher.
Right.
So I could wear dresses like that. So we'll see. And then I could certainly use a thigh lift. Like my thighs after all of the weight loss, I mean, they're very wrinkly. Like it's not like I'm just real self-conscious. Like they have a lot of excess skin. Whether or not I'll do something about it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the thigh lift was the one when I remember when I talked to Dr. Ghazi about it, considering it. And he had told me back then, he was like, I'll only do this for you if you absolutely get to the point where you can no longer stand it and hate it because it's the most difficult to heal from. And I didn't experience that at all.
I'm
I was
in
like,
the thigh
what?
lift Facebook group, of course, and
Mhm.
people do say that it is a higher risk of complications, that it's very common to have openings with a thigh lift.
I wonder if it's
And
the type because what I've seen some people do is they'll do like you kind of have your V area, like they're getting
mhm,
it done in there, which is what he was originally going to do for me and pull up. But I
yeah.
didn't get that. I think I need to pull some skin now though. But going straight down the thigh, I didn't have any problems. But I think that could be because it's like you're walking then all the time. So it's more chance to pull
Yeah.
too.
Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention that was so unexpected after my tummy tuck, my thighs from the tummy tuck swelled massively.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, I was in shock. It felt like I had water balloons in
Wow. Were you
between
wearing the
my thighs.
compression socks and stuff still or tights?
Yeah, yeah. I was wearing the socks but my tummy tuck compression stuff didn't include the thighs. Like I don't think it normally does. And I remember I couldn't wear my pants that from before surgery. Like they were so tight on my
I
legs.
remember you were like, what did I do? Do I regret this? I was
Yes,
like, no,
yeah.
that's sweet. It's
And
going to be good.
I remember trying on a pair of pants that were like a size 10 and I needed that because of my thighs. And I was like, you guys, I'm a size 10. And you're like, there's no way. I'm like, I am. It was the swelling. And
Mhm.
now I'm a size 4. And I'm like, yeah, wasn't a size 10. But the swelling, and even in the area that wasn't
Right.
operated on, was a lot. So that does make me nervous about a thigh lift where I'm like, okay, I swelled in my thighs massively with a tummy tuck. Would I
Where
swell
would it
even more with
go?
a thigh lift? So I don't know.
I don't know. But also, I was going to say, this is something I learned from you too, because you're not sure if you truly are redhead or not, but with the pain tolerances and
Mhm.
how you heal is differently.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
I think it's more how much anesthesia you need to get actually knocked out. For
Hmm.
some reason, redheads don't respond to general anesthesia as well as most people, and so it takes extra. I
Hmm.
don't think I'm a redhead though. I'm not really sure.
You might not
um,
know from when you were younger, though. No,
yeah, it's hard to remember because I have photos, but I think that because of the
like your
aging
skin,
of the
you don't really ever get color.
no, no. I mean, I'm definitely extremely fair skinned and have
Hmm.
freckles. So there might be a little bit of red in my hair. And for anyone watching, and like you have red in your hair, these are extensions.
Yeah,
And I started dyeing my hair. I started using Sun-In probably in elementary school. I've
right.
just always been one. I actually haven't been dyeing my hair for the past about year, but
Hmm.
probably from the age of whatever sixth grade is until a year ago, have not had my natural hair color. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So what would your top tips? Like somebody who has something they
Hmm.
want done or multiple things they want done, what would your top tips be?
So I would say do your research and find a couple of surgeons and start planning and saving for it. I would say that earlier on, even though my mom had given me some money towards it, I got into a lot of debt on credit cards way back when. I know there's options like care credit and all those things, but what I do now is when I want to do something like this, any of these surgeries or Botox, even my hair coloring, I use an app. I use Opportune,
Mhm.
and it socks away a little bit of money from each paycheck or pay cycle, and you kind of never know it's there. And I look at them like, oh my God, I saved for this. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't hurt as much. So I would say doing your research, set aside the money, get an idea of costs because tummy tuck, to give an idea, ballpark, tummy tuck and breast stuff is probably like $10,000, $15,000 or so. I know that's one thing is
Yeah.
that people are going to want to know what are the costs are. Again, everybody's range is different. I
I
think
mean, in
the
some
eyelid,
areas of the country, I've seen people spend like 30 or 20, like
right,
25, 30 on breasts and
right.
tummy. And
Mm-hmm.
then Atlanta area, it is more like 15ish. I think so I had the blepharoplasty, the extended arm lift, and the extended tummy tuck, and I think it was 17. And I
Mm-hmm.
did Care Credit because they did like a 0%
For like
interest
6 months or
for,
something.
I think it was 12 months.
Okay.
So
That's
I was
good.
able to just, over 12 months, pay off 17,000 and not have any interest. And that worked great for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think same for mine. And yeah, so I think save for it. Definitely don't just go to find the bottom of the barrel cost
I
because
would
it's
talk to people who have used the surgeon. I think that's a big
definitely.
thing.
Hmm. Definitely. Yeah. And, plan to take the time that you need. I don't want anybody to go and just use myself as an example that I just jump back in so quick. Like that's just not normal. And I have a higher pain tolerance probably than most, but
Mhm.
plan to have somebody around. I have one of my awesome friends, Anna, who she's basically my caretaker for that. She picks me up from the appointment and then I go back to her house. She helps me with the drains, helps me remember and keeps note of like which medicines I'm on and helps me move around
Yeah.
because you're out of it. And I
You
I usually
definitely
stay at her
want to
house
have
2
someone.
nights.
That's something that also surprised me. So my husband Jeff took care of me, and
Mhm.
I felt like I was like a newborn as far as like how much
Yeah.
work it was because you're on all these medications. You're on so I think one was a muscle relaxer, then
Mhm.
an antibiotic, and one was gabapentin. What does that do? I don't
I
even
don't
know.
know.
Like you're on all these different meds.
And then you have to
Um,
remember and then usually it's a good idea too, a tip to start taking a stool softener a couple of days before
yes.
and then take it
Yeah.
with each pill with a ton of water to help with the
Yeah.
constipation. So you have to remember all those things and then
Yeah,
some
so you
meds
have
are
all
different
these meds
times.
to take at, like, certain times,
And then you have to measure the
and
fluids if you have drains.
if you have drains, they have to be emptied at certain times, you have to measure the fluids, and I was so tired, there is no way.
Then you have to eat.
Yes. So for the first, I would say, definitely the first 24 hours, maybe the first 48, if I hadn't had someone keeping up, like Jeff would set alarms and stuff, I would have slept through it. I would have
Yep.
slept. I wouldn't have taken meds, and then I would have probably woken up in massive pain and,
Yep.
not having taken my antibiotics. So you definitely need someone who
And you don't wanna
can
chase the
stay on
pain,
that.
even though it says to take it at, like, X time, 6 p.m., you wanna start, like, around 5:15,
Mhm.
5:30. But, yeah, I did that consistently. Yeah, I usually will stay at her house for, like, 2 nights.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really
Mhm.
those first 48 hours, I would say, is really rough. And then after that, you start getting a little better.
And then there's this, optional thing, like, I believe it's called Exparel, like, they had offered
Yeah.
sometimes, like, it's like an injectable, I think, like, pain, fluid that they can put in. I think it was an extra $500.
Yeah,
It's
like,
always
do
worth
that
it
for sure. Yeah.
'cause it helps last in your system a bit longer.
And I
And
had nothing to
then
compare it to, so I can't say if the Exparel helped or not, but you know what? If I'm being given an option for pain management and with all the money you're spending, 500 more dollars, yeah, get
yeah,
it.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. And, I always like to tell people to, like, get that little nausea ear patch too, even if you're not somebody who tends to get nauseous or not, like, anesthesia, you wake up and it's gonna come on, but the little behind the ear patch was really helpful for me. I always make sure I get it.
And definitely plan for meals afterwards because you wanna make sure you're getting enough protein because protein's essential for healing. So I
Yep.
did a meal delivery service that was specifically,
Oh,
I think it was high protein and low sodium because people always also say don't eat a lot of sodium because of the swelling. So I did high protein, low sodium. They weren't great. They were these microwave dinners, but I was able to do them myself after probably the first day. And it
Uh-huh.
was just nice to know I was getting the right calories, the right nutrition, just pop it in the microwave. And then I did the Juven and then some protein drinks just to get all that in.
Oh, yeah. That's really helpful. Just have those on hand because even when you don't feel like eating, at least you're getting something there.
Exactly. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, any other advice or thoughts before we wrap up?
I think, no, not in that area. I think, again, it's just, it's a very personal decision. And while these are the decisions that we made, it's not anything that we're recommending for anybody to do, of course. It's do your research and do what makes you happy. And if you're going to have people scrutinizing you and criticizing you for what you do or you don't want to do, at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your body. Do what makes you happy.
Absolutely.
And you can follow us on all the social channels and we'll answer your questions about anything. We'll do follow-ups if anybody has any. But it's been fun
when we get our
hanging out with you.
facelifts, we will share that whole journey with you guys.
Definitely. I'm planning my stuff soon. Pretty soon. But make sure to keep listening and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at A Holistic Dose on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. For more fun, you can follow us on our website as well, aholisticdose.com. And thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll be back with more unfiltered friend talk right here on A Holistic Dose.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.